My name is Grace Walla, and I researched how acupuncture is an example of how culture diffuses. Before I started this project, I really didn't know much about acupuncture. I just knew that we use needles to stimulate pressure points in our body and how pressure points connect to every organ in our body. And I believe that time has enabled us to progress, and with that we've been able to move ideas and concepts around by immigrating and emigrating. Also, our technology has allowed us to advance our communication, for instance the internet and social networking, or things as simple as the telephone. All of these things have modified the diffusion of culture. There is no concrete evidence of who created acupuncture, but it originally came from ancient China. At this time, the Shang dynasty was ruling the area it came from. Acupuncture is an ancient Chinese medicine, and back then it was usually performed on royalty. Its purpose was to relieve pain from abscesses. In doing so, they punctured stones and bones into flesh to relieve what was inside, pus, fluids, etc. Or they simply compressed sharp objects on pressure points for minutes to hours on end to relieve the pain as well. Even though we don't know who invented acupuncture, the first record of it being performed was when Feng Sheng brought the governor of Kuo out of a coma. Acupuncture grew popular because it was a trusted medicine that worked for the most part on several pains throughout the body. The theory of acupuncture is based on the energy flow qi, spelled Q-I. The theory says that it is the body functions are regulated by the energy flow throughout the body where qi is that energy. Diseases and sicknesses, etc., are the disruption of this flow. So acupuncture is a way to correct these inequalities of qi by the stimulation of pressure points. Today in China, many things have changed as well as stayed the same. Some things that have changed that are in ancient China, it was a prominent form of care, whereas today it is an alternative practice. Also, they use stone needles compared to today where we use fine metal needles. Another difference is that it was performed on royalty, where today anyone can receive this practice. Western medicine as well has changed the practice in many ways. Factors that led to these changes are mostly Western medicine, but technology and time have played into it as well. In 1822, the Chinese emperor eliminated acupuncture from the Imperial College medical curriculum, even though it was still an important technique of healing. Because Western medicine had grasped the concept of surgery, acupuncturists were starting to be known as the poorly trained physicians. The next big thing that came after moxibustion and acupuncture was massage therapy and herbal medicines at this time. Since 1822 and today, another important thing for acupuncture had happened. In 1929, acupuncture was outlawed in China, but when the Communist Party was formed, they supported acupuncture and reinstalled it in the 1950s. With current technology, many new methods have been formed based off the traditional techniques. Korea was believed to be the first country to adopt acupuncture, and from there, other countries in Asia did as well. The primary way of how acupuncture diffused to the United States was when President Nixon, along with the New York Times reporter James Reston, visited China in 1972. Nixon sat in on a procedure being done on a patient. The patient was undergoing acupuncture to block nerve receptors instead of being under general anesthesia. Later in their trip, Reston needed an emergency appendectomy. After the surgery, he was in pain. The doctors recommended a traditional Chinese method to relieve him from his pain called acupuncture. After receiving this post-surgery treatment, he wrote about in the New York Times for American readers to read. The word spread reasonably fast, and for the Chinese doctors in America, it gave them a job if they were qualified. Acupuncture clinics and practices can be found all over the Bay Area, but one place in particular is the Yellow Emperor Community Acupuncture Clinic, found on Shattuck. Acupuncture in the United States has become a relatively popular alternative medicine, but not nearly as popular as it is in China today. A ratio I can give you of people receiving acupuncture in the States per hour to people in China is 1.2 people to 10 people. As I already stated, acupuncture in ancient China was to relieve pain. It was a primary medicine and they used stone needles, whereas today in the US, it has become an alternative medicine. It's not accepted by everyone, and the US culture has turned it into an institutionalized practice. Also, we now use it only on pressure points, whereas in ancient China, they used it on abscesses as well. The US culture has turned acupuncture into an institutionalized practice because everything in America you have to go through school to get your degree, and then you are legalized to do whatever you want with your credential that enables you to do. But in ancient China, the practice was passed down from person to person, generation to generation, apprentice to learner. And there was no schools to learn this specific form. And that is how the American culture has influenced acupuncture from its original form in ancient China.